Welcome back to Hydrohaven, fellow garden enthusiasts. Today we're diving deep into a topic that can make or break your raised bed garden soil management. After visiting several Amish communities and studying their time-tested gardening practices, I've identified two critical mistakes that most beginners make with their raised bed soil. More importantly, I'll share authentic Amish solutions that have been refined over generations, approaches that work harmoniously with nature rather than against it. So let's dig in and discover how traditional wisdom can transform your modern garden struggles. Mistake number 1. The fill-it-and-forget-it approach to soil. When we first build our raised beds, many of us invest in high-quality soil mixes, perhaps even splurging on premium blends with added compost and fertilizers. We fill our beautifully constructed cedar or pine beds with this expensive soil, plant our first season's crops, and expect the magic to continue indefinitely. This is what I call the fill-it-and-forget-it mindset, and it's perhaps the most common mistake beginners make. What most gardening beginners don't realize is that soil in raised beds is a living ecosystem that requires continuous care and replenishment. Unlike ground soil, which has access to deeper minerals and wider microbial networks, raised bed soil is essentially a contained environment. Each harvest removes nutrients from this limited system. Each season of growth extracts minerals. Each rainfall gradually leaches elements away. Without intervention, your once rich soil becomes depleted, compacted, and biologically inactive, often within just 2 or 3 growing seasons. I observed this firsthand when visiting an Amish farm in Lancaster County. The farmer, Eli, showed me 2 identical raised beds he had built for his daughter's wedding gift 6 years earlier. One bed had followed conventional gardening wisdom with annual additions of store-bought compost and fertilizer. The other had been maintained using traditional Amish methods. The difference was striking. The conventionally maintained bed had soil that was notably paler, with visible compaction and poor structure. The Amish-maintained bed had soil so rich and crumbly it resembled chocolate cake, and literally teemed with earthworms. The Amish approach to soil health is fundamentally different from our modern input-output model. Instead of seeing soil management as a series of corrections and additions, they view it as an ongoing relationship with the living earth. This approach centers around what they call feeding the soil continuously, rather than feeding plants occasionally. The cornerstone of this method is the integration of wood ash from their heating stoves, a resource most modern gardeners completely overlook. Eli's family carefully collects hardwood ash throughout the winter months, storing it in dry metal containers. This ash isn't applied all at once, but rather added in thin, almost homeopathic layers to the raised beds throughout the growing season. A light dusting, just enough to barely see on the soil surface, gets sprinkled around plants every 2 to 3 weeks. Hardwood ash contains significant amounts of potassium, calcium, and trace minerals that vegetables crave. But more importantly, it helps maintain a balanced soil pH and creates ideal conditions for beneficial soil microorganisms. The Amish gardeners I spoke with consider regular light applications of wood ash as feeding the workers, providing nourishment for the microscopic life that ultimately feeds their plants. Another unique aspect of the Amish approach is their use of plant-based soil teas. Unlike conventional compost tea, which typically starts with finished compost, the Amish version I learned about begins with specific fresh plant materials known for their mineral content. Comfrey, stinging nettle, and dandelion leaves are harvested, chopped finely, and steeped in rainwater for several days. This mineral-rich liquid is then diluted and applied to the soil rather than the plants themselves, again, feeding the soil ecosystem rather than bypassing it with direct foliar feeding. The Amish gardeners also practice continuous mulching with what they call living mulch. Instead of just using straw or wood chips, they intentionally leave certain beneficial weeds growing between their vegetable plants. Low-growing chickweed, purslane, and clover are selectively allowed to remain, creating a living ground cover that protects soil from temperature extremes, reduces evaporation, and continuously deposits organic matter through natural dieback and regrowth. The second major mistake I've observed in raised bed gardening is the compulsive need to till, turn, and fluff the soil before each planting season. Many beginners believe that digging and loosening soil is always beneficial, creating that picture-perfect fluffy garden bed we see in magazines and videos. This misconception leads to repeated aggressive soil disturbance that actually destroys the very structure we're trying to improve. Every time we till or deeply turn our soil, we're disrupting the complex soil food web that takes time to establish. The Amish gardeners I observed had a saying that stuck with me. The plow is for the field, the fork is for the garden, and the hand is for the raised bed. This succinctly captures their philosophy of minimal disturbance, especially in contained growing environments like raised beds. Instead of mechanical tilling, Amish gardeners employ what they call surface cultivation and biological tillage. Surface cultivation involves using a broad fork or shallow hand tool to gently loosen just the top inch or two of soil without turning it. This breaks any surface crusting that may have formed without disrupting the deeper soil structure. For deeper soil improvement, they rely on biological tillage, using plants with specific root structures to naturally break up compaction. Daikon radishes are the stars of this approach. Planted densely in fall, these radishes send taproots deep into the soil. When winter freezes kill the plants, those roots decompose in place, leaving behind natural channels for water, air, and beneficial organisms. Spring planting can then take place with minimal soil disturbance. Taking these Amish principles and applying them to our contemporary raised beds isn't difficult, but it does require a shift in perspective. Rather than thinking of soil maintenance as a seasonal task, view it as an ongoing process integrated into your regular gardening routine. Start collecting hardwood ash from your fireplace or wood stove, avoiding any ash from treated wood or coal. Apply it sparingly but regularly throughout the growing season. If you don't have access to wood ash, crushed eggshells can provide many of the same benefits, albeit more slowly. Begin creating your own plant-based mineral teas with weeds from your garden. Dandelions are particularly valuable for this purpose, and using them this way transforms a common nuisance into a valuable resource. The process is simple. Fill a bucket 1/3 full with chopped dandelion plants, roots included, fill with water, cover loosely, and let sit for 7 to 10 days, stirring occasionally. Dilute to a weak tea color before applying to your soil. Most importantly, be patient and observant. The Amish gardeners I learned from emphasized that soil improvement is not measured in days or weeks, but in seasons and years. Look for gradual changes in soil color, structure, and the presence of earthworms and other soil life. These are the true indicators of improving soil health. The transformation from depleted raised bed soil to living fertile growing medium doesn't happen overnight. But by adopting these time-tested Amish principles, continuous gentle amendment, minimal disturbance, and working with soil biology rather than against it, you'll find your garden becoming more productive and resilient with each passing season. What struck me most about the Amish approach to soil management was its sustainability and self-reinforcing nature. Each action builds upon the previous one, creating a positive spiral of soil improvement that becomes easier and more effective over time. As one Amish gardener told me, we don't grow vegetables, we grow soil. The vegetables are just a blessed side effect. By adopting these traditional methods in your raised beds, you're not just fixing common soil mistakes, you're establishing a living legacy that will continue to improve year after year. Your garden becomes not just a place where you grow plants, but a thriving ecosystem that works in partnership with you. If you've been struggling with declining productivity in your raised beds or finding yourself trapped in a cycle of expensive inputs with diminishing returns, I encourage you to give these time-tested Amish methods a try. The results may take a little longer to appear, but they'll be deeper, more lasting, and ultimately more satisfying than any quick-fix solution. Thanks for joining me today on Hydrohaven. If you found this guide valuable for understanding and correcting common soil mistakes using traditional wisdom, please hit that subscribe button and share this video with fellow gardeners. Remember, we're not just growing gardens, we're cultivating living soil for generations to come. Until next time, happy gardening.